Um, I am Anyati Abdullah Orcullo. I was known as Mary Ann Orcullo by my old friends and family. But when I converted into Islam some 20 years ago, I have legally changed my name into Anyati, and I have been known Anyati since then. I have moved to Brunei, not because I was an OFW, but because I happened to be married to a local, a Bruneian, who is a long-time government officer, and when he retired, you know, he embarked into a business. In fact, that's also the reason why we met, because he invested some business in Labuan, and then he visited Zamboanga, and that's where I come from. I was teaching at the time at Western Mindanao State University as a lecturer in the English department. And so when we met, we just got married, and he just spirited me away to Brunei. And that's how my life has begun differently. And I thought that I would become a teacher, because I was very, very passionate about teaching. But when I moved to Brunei, my husband said, if you are going to teach, that will stop us from traveling. And he said, and so therefore you have to find a job that will allow you to travel at any time you want. And the only way to do that is to set up a business. And so at the time, he already set up several businesses. He has a laundry and dry cleaning service. And so I had to run that. But that was a different thing. He already established the business. All I need to do is to fire and hire people, you know, and train them. So he said, find something that you really want. So from then, I was looking at, because I cannot teach, but my passion is actually designing. Although I don't know how to draw, but I have all the ideas in my mind, and I love clothes. So I said, I'll set up a boutique. So, and I'll name it Anyati. Okay, so that's how it began. I became a fashion designer on just like that, you know, and I accumulated several customers along the years. Well, I started, you know, from the bottom, and now Anyati's Boutique and Atelier has been known to almost everyone in Brunei, and I have developed a niche in making wedding gowns, because I have become somehow a person who is very much involved in weddings. Imagine, my family, my husband has 11 children. All of them are married, and so there are 22 of them, the stepchildren and the in-laws. Then, when we got married, I found out he has 49 grandchildren. And the first time I arrived in Brunei, 1995, the first grandson got married. I had no clue then. So since then, I was very much involved in all the weddings, and that made me somehow very much intimate with what's going on. So slowly, it was an education for me. And I have incorporated that in all my dealings with my business. Yes. And the relationship between my family and my business is actually very, very close. Yes. In my boutique, I employ mostly Filipinos, although I have 2 Indian beaders. Yeah. My laundry and dry cleaning, because I have 3 centers, I have about 22 staff there, but I have about 10 Indians. Then I have a cafeteria, which, well, very, very few operation, but I also serve as a chef there. Because when I moved to Brunei, I developed this passion for cooking and baking. So then eventually my friends say, why wouldn't you open up a cafe so that we can order the food that we want to eat, you know, because they really like, I love preparing salads and all the desserts. So they said, how can we order your salad if, you know, we can't impose on you, you know, that one. So I ended up opening up Amali's Cafeteria, which is actually named after my daughter. Well, I have no idea, because it's just a very small operation. The Brunei economy is very much you know, it's a very, very progressive country simply because we don't have a big population, and that there's the black gold in here. But on the other hand, the private sectors, the SMEs, yes, I have probably contributed, but not that much. But I would rather look at myself contributing more in the next future by continuing to render service, not just a good service, but the best service. And I have always imparted it to my fellow Filipinos, to my co-workers, to my employees, that if you have already the skill, you just cannot be stuck in there. You have to level up higher and higher. You know, you have to improve. And every day of your life, no matter how learned you are, the more learning you have, the more you will find out that you are actually quite ignorant. So you cannot say that you have enough knowledge, because you don't. Every day of your life, you deal with different situations, and you take lessons from there. And there are so many different scenarios. But then on the other hand, you don't really have to make a huge effort. All you need to do is just making sure that you are doing it a better way than you used to work yesterday. So people will continuously come back to you. Like my line of customers keep coming back to me. If one gets married, they come back and with their children. They come back with their sisters, with their mother-in-law, with their cousins and relatives. And I would know that, because every time there is a new customer coming in, I would say, who introduced you to me? How did you hear about me? They said, oh, my cousin, you did the wedding gown of my cousin. Oh, you did the dress of my mother-in-law. And so on and so forth. And that, I would say, not only because of myself, but because of the workers that I have. Because they are committed, because they can see that I am committed. Well, for a president to be very involved in all summits, ASEAN Summit, or whatever other, conferences that they have to go to, as they visit that particular country, it definitely impacts not only to the people in Brunei, but mostly for the Filipinos, because they take pride that their president takes precedence in their presence in that country. And it is imperative that the president should show, camaraderie, solidarity with the rest of the leaders in the ASEAN nations. Not only ASEAN nations, but all the nations of the world. And most of the Filipinos might not understand why a president should travel. It costs a lot of money, yes, but the returns is beyond that. The return, the trust, the trust of the foreign investors, the trust of that particular leader to our leader is a very valuable investment. I would consider a visit of a president to another country an investment to uplift the image of our country, to attract the investors' trust to our economy. And so therefore, every president and our president, Pinoy, should be here, regardless of whatever reason. I have so many messages to convey to him, but given the very short time, first of all, I would like to congratulate the president for making our economy boom on such a very short period of time. The feat of making our economy soar, to the highest level of GDP, it's something that no one has ever done before. And that in itself is the huge accomplishment being a president. And the trust that the foreign investors into the Philippine economy is staggering. And that to me is a very, very important accomplishment of the president. And I believe that every Filipino should be thankful of that.
Thank you very much, ma'am.